Greetings nerdlings and welcome to AmalgamNation presents World of Lorecraft, Herocraft, Sylvanas Windrunner edition. Sylvanas is a member of the prominent Windrunner family of the High Elves. Her siblings are Illyria, Verisa, and at least two brothers, one named Laird and the other possibly named Sylvos. Her family lived at Windrunner Spire in the tranquil forests of Quel'Thalas. Sylvanas joined the Rangers and eventually became their leader, rising to rank of Ranger General of Silvermoon, military leader of all High Elven forces. During the Second War, the High Elves initially sent only token support to the Alliance, though Sylvanas' older sister Illyria took her squad of Rangers as well. Soon after, the forests of Quel'Thalas mysteriously began to burn. Sylvanas and her Rangers set out to discover the cause when she came across both her sisters being chased by a band of forest trolls, which they quickly dispatched. Illyria alerted Sylvanas of the coming orcish horde, and that it was they who were burning Quel'Thalas with dragonfire. Sylvanas and her rangers raced to meet the horde to trap them against the Alliance forces under the command of the paladin Turallion. The battle took many turns, but ultimately the horde abandoned Quel'Thalas. Sylvanas stayed behind to hunt down any remaining orcs. Shortly after the horde was defeated, the Dark Portal was destroyed, and the Second War had ended. After the High Elves withdrew from the Alliance, Sylvanas and her Rangers were the primary guard against any would-be attackers on Silvermoon. Despite the odd forest troll, murloc or gnoll every now and then, Sylvanas saw little action, and a peaceful tranquility descended upon the forests. She remained ever vigilant, knowing that this peace, however refreshing, was tenuous at best. Her fears were soon realized when Artus, the betrayer of Lordaeron, arrived unexpectedly on the doorstep of Quel'Thalas with a horde of undead at his back. He attacked outlying villages, and Sylvanas and her ranger corps moved against him. His superior numbers and tireless warriors always kept her in a state of retreat. Artus continued relentlessly towards the Elf Gate, killing every elf who got in his way. Finally, despite Sylvanas' best efforts, he breached the outer Elf Gate. Sylvanas ordered the corps to immediately fall back to the inner gate, which was only passable with the use of the Key of the Three Moons, assembled from the moon crystals hidden within the forest. Sylvanas destroyed the bridge leading to the inner gate to stay his advance. Despite her valiant efforts, Artus managed to recover the Key of the Three Moons and destroyed the inner Elf Gate. Nothing stood in his way to Silvermoon. Sylvanas gathered her forces to warn Silvermoon, but Artus blocked her passage at every turn, murdering every runner she tried to get through. Sylvanas continued to resistance, but eventually was targeted. Artus's army overran her base of operations, and the Death Knight singled her out in the heat of battle. The two duelled and Sylvanas was cut down. The official story given by the High Elves of Silvermoon had the Ranger General perishing valiantly in battle against the undead scourge in the defence of Quel'Thalas, with her body burned to ashes in the fire that had devastated half the capital. The true story was quite different. Sylvanas was not killed but captured. Barely clinging to life, she was brought before Artus. She struggled, saying she deserved a clean death, but Artus, having had to fight her every step of the way, responded by telling her, after what she had put him through, the last thing he would give her was that peace. He desecrated her spirit, corrupting her body and soul, and brought her back as a whirlwind of torment and hatred. Thus she became the first of the High Elven Banshees. Sylvanas, now undead, was a complete and total slave to the Lich King. She aided him in assaulting Silvermoon in order to secure the legendary Sunwolf for the Scourge. Her mangled body was sealed in an iron coffin by Artus as a way to further torture the Ranger. Sylvanas became one of Artus's primary generals. She remained behind in Lordaeron with Kel'Thuzad under the watchful eye of the Dreadlords who had been stationed in Lordaeron to protect it in the name of the Burning Legion. At some point during this time, Sylvanas succeeded in using her abilities as a banshee to repossess her corpse, becoming a corporeal undead creature. She learned of Archimonde's defeat at the Battle of Mount Hyjal from Kel'Thuzad, keeping the information from the Dreadlords. Varamatras, Detarok, and Balnazar, the three prime Dreadlords overseeing Lordaeron, were convening under Sylvanas' watchful eye when Artus stormed into the stronghold, fresh from his journey to Kalimdor. He informed them of the Legion's failure and his intentions to take control of the Scourge. The Dreadlords fled, outraged but unwilling to risk their lives by battling the new king of Lordaeron. Arthas approached his servants and ordered that Lordaeron be purged of all life as a tribute to Ner'zhul. Kel'Thuzad informed him that human refugees had begun to flee from the outer villages. Should they escape into the mountain passes, they would be impossible to track. Arthas stationed himself and his 2 generals at 3 possible escape routes, each leading detachments of undead troops. They took great pains to ensure that few, if any, made it past their blockade to safety. Despite the efforts of the paladin Dagran the Orcslayer and his companions, Sylvanas led her banshees in the destruction of all the remaining villages in her area, slaughtering any human trying to escape. Finally, she, Arthas and Kel'Thuzad arrived at the central headquarters of the Paladins and killed them all in a vicious battle, annihilating the last of the civilian presence in Lordaeron. Around this time, the weakened Ner'zhul began to lose control of the minds of Sylvanas and a number of banshees. She kept this discovery from Arthas and Kel'Thuzad while continuing to serve. The Dreadlords contacted Sylvanas and explained that they knew the cause and arranged a secret meeting with her. They told her that Ner'zhul's, and by extension Arthas' powers were diminishing. The Natrazim intended to use this opportunity to seize control of Lordaeron. Sylvanas tentatively agreed to assist, but under the condition that her aid would be provided on her own terms. The Dreadlords planned on killing Arthas within the capital, but Sylvanas created a contingency plan in the case of his escape. She arranged for her banshees to feign allegiance and escort him to a place in the woods where she would be waiting for him. After Arthas survived the Dreadlord's ambush and escaped the capital, Sylvanas' loyal sisters saw him to the arranged place and then killed his bodyguards. Hiding in the shadows, she struck Arthas with a venomous, paralyzing arrow that she had crafted. Arthas, furious at her betrayal, demanded that she finish him. She refused, intending to make him suffer as he had made her suffer in undeath. She was about to begin her grisly work when Kel'Thuzad intervened, killing her banshees and chasing her off. In her physical body, she realized that the natural world would never respond to her wishes again. Angered, she turned to the arts that were becoming more and more natural to her, necromancy. She altered her elven ranger teachings into a new form. Thus the Dark Rangers were born. Arthas left for Northrend, having been summoned by the Lich King, and Kel'Thuzad went into hiding. Sylvanas and her sisters were freed, but she was still troubled. Though free from Ner'zhul, she and her other free-willed loyalists remained monstrous abominations in appearance. Varimatris invited the Banshee to join him and his brothers in their new order. Sylvanas was not so quick to relinquish what freedom she had just gained. She told him that her assistance was enough and demanded to be left alone. He ominously warned that those who were not part of this new land would be cast aside, that she had best not vex the new rulers of the Plaguelands. Sylvanas was adamant. As Varimatris departed, she sensed an attack was imminent. With only her banshees and her lesser undead to serve her, she was certain that she would soon fall. She needed to acquire an army. Scouting the outer wilderness, Sylvanas found a plethora of creatures who would serve her well, and with her banshees at her disposal, they would have little choice in the matter. She sent out her banshees to possess Mugtol, the leader of the local ogres, the bandit lord Blackthorn, the Knoll ruler Snarlmane, and the Murloc Puddle lord. Those she did not possess were killed. With so many new allies, Varimatris fell before her. He begged for his life, saying that he could serve her well. He knew his brothers' tactics and where their bases were located. Sylvanas knew trusting such an insidious creature was a risk, but felt she could control him enough for her purposes. With Varimatris' assistance, they moved against Detarok's forces. Detarok had acquired a human puppet, Garthos, and his men, using them for protection. Sylvanas had his scouts possessed and then infiltrated his base while their guard was down. As they slept, she swept through the twin bases and slaughtered any before her, and not even the raising of the alarm could stop her. She disabled the humans and ravaged Detarok's forces, eventually coming to the Dreadlord himself, killing him swiftly. With the Dreadlord dead, Garthos was freed from his mental control. Though she saw him as arrogant and foolish, she felt he could be of use. She lied and promised to relinquish control of the capital to him if he helped her kill Balnazar. Garthos attacked from the rear entrance to the city as Sylvanas and Varimatris came from the front. As they moved into the city, Sylvanas found caches of items left by the Lordaeron royals and used them to further the assault. Despite the Dreadlord's demonic allies, Balnazar's forces were destroyed. As a final test of loyalty, Sylvanas demanded that Varimatris kill Balnazar. Varimatris froze, saying that it was forbidden for one Natrazim to kill another. When she refused to rescind the order, Varimatris obeyed. Varimatris was not so reluctant when Sylvanas ordered him to do the same to Garthos. With their enemies dead, Sylvanas made a proclamation to Varimatris. They would rule the Plague Lands as the Forsaken, and would stake out their own destiny, where none would get in their way. Reports claim Sylvanas moves to and from Northrend. It is unknown if she is scouting for a possible attack on the Lich King, or if she has darker plans. There are rumours she may also be setting up a Forsaken city. In any case, she remains an enigmatic figure, her motivations unknown even to her most trusted advisors. Sylvanas in World of Warcraft. She rules over the Forsaken from Undercity. Her goal is to one day take vengeance upon Arthas and find lasting freedom for her cursed people. She sends promising warriors to train under her champion, Nathanos Blightcaller. Lady Sylvanas Windrunner is a level ? Faction leader located in the Royal Quarter in the Undercity. Please note that by World of Warcraft I mean vanilla World of Warcraft, as it was when it first launched. Sylvanas also appears in the Hollow's End celebration talking about the Forsaken's freedom. There she still uses her first High Elf model, which never left the beta version of the Wrath of the Lich King, and her old statistic. Sylvanas in the Burning Crusade. In death, Sylvanas still considers herself one of the foremost protectors of Quel'Thalas and repeatedly offers assistance in the form of supplies and troops to the Blood Elves. This may be due in some part to the fact that the Dark Lady still grieves over her failure to protect Quel'Thalas from the Scourge invasion during the Third War, when she fell in battle. Though the Blood Elves initially declined most of Sylvanas' offers, fearing a trick, the beleaguered elves eventually allowed Sylvanas to station Forsaken soldiers in their lands, most prominently in the village of Tranquillion. Sylvanas played a large part in convincing Thrall to accept the Blood Elves into the Horde. Sylvanas in Wrath of the Lich King. Sylvanas Windrunner's appearance was updated for patch 3.0.2. Her prior model was a female Night Elf. Her model is now almost unique. Alexstras's humanoid model is very similar. One of the new Forsaken camps in Northrend is New Agamand. It is here the plague the Royal Apothecary Society developed to combat the Scourge was tested, as indicated from this section of the Howling Fjord background on the official site. On the eastern shore, the Forsaken have arrived, carrying a plague of their own to unleash upon the Lich King. Queen Sylvanas has been methodically and patiently overseeing the formulation of this contagion for several years, and the time has come at last to test its effectiveness against the Scourge. Battle for the Undercity. As the combined Horde and Alliance forces began their assault upon Angrathar the Ratgate, an uprising broke out within the Undercity. Varimatris and hordes of his demonic brethren overran the city, slaying all those who would not submit in their dark rule. Sylvanas claims she nearly died in the coup, but managed to escape with a number of loyalists to Orgrimmar. Determined not to allow the Dreadlords a foothold in Horde territory, Thrall and Sylvanas planned an immediate counter-attack. In the midst of their planning, Jaina Proudmoore arrived with terrible news. In the wake of Bolvar Fourdragon's death, Varian Wrynn had ordered an assault on the Undercity to bring Putris to justice and liberate Lordaeron for the Alliance. Sylvanas returned to the Undercity at the head of a Horde army, determined to retake her city. Along with Thrall and Vol'jin, she led the assault, a cry for her people upon her lips. In the throne room, Sylvanas fought and finally slew Varimatris, retaking her throne. How much power remains in her hands is currently unknown, as Troll has sent Corcoran elites to the Undercity to watch the Forsaken. The Frozen Halls. Sylvanas led Horde forces to the frozen halls inside Icecrown Citadel to confront the Lich King, intending to gain her vengeance for the destruction of Quel'Thalas and her damnation into undeath. Upon reaching his private chambers in the Halls of Reflection and standing so close to Frostmourne, Sylvanas felt the pain of her death renewed. She attempted to commune with the spirits within the sword, hoping that salvation lies within. At that point, the spirit of Uther, the Lightbringer, appeared, warning her that the Lich King was on his way and of the foolishness of attempting to defeat him there. He revealed that even if Artus were to be destroyed, someone must take his place as master of the Scourge, lest the undead wash across the world like locusts. To defeat the Lich King, Uther said he must be destroyed at the place he was created, the Frozen Throne. The Lich King arrived and reclaimed his blade, banishing the soul of Uther within it. He summoned Falric and Marwyn, his two top lieutenants, to kill the intruders. While her escorts battled the pair and the ghosts they summoned, Sylvanas and Dark Ranger Lorlan gave chase as the Lich King fled to his inner sanctum. Upon defeating the Death Knights and their ghostly allies, the party found Lorlan dead in the hallway and the sounds of battle coming from the chamber before them. Sylvanas and the Lich King were engaged in combat. Realizing he was too powerful to confront, as Uther had warned, Sylvanas and her escorts fled, breaking through the ice walls and packs of undead minions the Lich King summoned to slow their progress. As they reached the outside and came upon a dead end, they resolved themselves to die in battle. However, the gunship Orgrim's Hammer arrived on scene to rescue them. As they fled the Halls of Reflection, Sylvanas realized the Lich King's powers had increased tenfold. To defeat him, a mighty army was needed, one greater than even the Horde could muster. Fall of the Lich King. With the death of the Lich King, an adventurer bearing Shadowmourne found a sealed chest containing various items, among them a vial of blood. The adventurer brought the vial to Sylvanas, waiting in Light's Hammer. Sylvanas and Cataclysm. Sylvanas was ordered to move south into Gilneas because the Horde wanted a port in northern Lordaeron. She had been resorting to increasingly unscrupulous tactics ever since the Ratgate. Despite orders from the new Warchief, Garrosh Hellscream, to cease production of the Forsaken Blight that was used by Putris, she continued to use it against her enemies, including in the invasion of Gilneas, and against the town of Southshore in Hillsborough. She also conscripted the Valkyr, the ascended Vrykul women who once served the Lich King, using them to raise dead enemies as Forsaken as a solution to the undead not being able to procreate. During the invasion of Gilneas, the tide turned against Sylvanas and she used her dark powers to stun everyone in the immediate area. Aiming a poisoned arrow at Gen Greymane, she fired intending to fell the Worgen leader. His son Liam jumped in front of the bowshot, saving his father from certain doom. As Sylvanas fled, Liam died with the knowledge that the city had been freed from Forsaken control. While fighting the Gilneas Liberation Front in Silverpine Forest, Sylvanas arranged for the resurrection of Lord Godfrey. After Godfrey captured Lorna Crowley and delivered her to Sylvanas, she headed towards the shattered Greymane Wall to give Darius Crowley a choice: surrender the Gilneas Liberation Front, or Lorna would become one of the Forsaken. Darius decides to surrender and Sylvanas allows him to leave with his daughter and his men. Shortly afterwards, Sylvanas is killed by Godfrey, who quickly fled to Shadowfang Keep. High Warlord Cromash orders the Valkyr, Agatha, Arthura and Dashla to raise her. The three sacrifice themselves to give Sylvanas life once more. This convinced Sylvanas beyond a shadow of a doubt that the Valkyr were the future of the Forsaken. During the battle for Anderhall, Sylvanas disguised herself as Lindsay Ravenson. After the alliance was defeated, she confronted Coltira about his truce with Caesarion, scolds him for his weakness. A portal to the Undercity was opened and Coltira was pulled through by a hooked chain. Sylvanas, intending to purge him of his compassion for Caesarion and make him more of a servant of the Horde, more specifically a servant of Sylvanas and the Forsaken. Some have wondered if something has changed within Sylvanas due to her extreme behaviour in the recent battles against the Alliance. A Forsaken apothecary even leaves the Forsaken and joins the Argent Crusade at Plaguewood Tower. He says that, "I used to admire her, but something's changed within her. She's not herself anymore." Whether something has happened to her is unknown, but many members of the Horde and Alliance have noticed her acting differently. Sylvanas in Mists of Pandaria Siege of Orgrimmar. In the second section of the Siege of Orgrimmar on heroic raid difficulty, as the Horde, you see a small conversation between Sylvanas and Lorthamar. The summary of the conversation is Sylvanas makes a joke that she desires to raise the Blood Elves as Forsaken so they may fight again, to which Lorthamar responds by threatening the Banshee Queen to not touch his fallen warriors. Also, after the cinematic following Garrosh's defeat in the Siege of Orgrimmar raid as Horde, you can speak to the Banshee Queen, who explains she has no loyalty for the new troll Warchief Vol'jin, but respects him for what he has accomplished and is eager to see what will come of his leadership. Lastly, as Alliance, you may speak to Varian, who exclaims that halting Sylvanas' forces will be a large goal of Alliance efforts in retaking Gilneas. After the Siege of Orgrimmar, Sylvanas and other Horde leaders were summoned to the Temple of the White Tiger to witness the judgment of Garrosh Hellscream. Sylvanas was initially displeased at the idea of a trial rather than an execution, and opposed the appointment of Bane Bloodhoof as Hellscream's defender. When Bane's defence of Hellscream proved better than the Banshee Queen would like, she accused him of being an Alliance sympathiser, prompting the Tauren chieftain to somewhat aggressively, albeit calmly, deny her claim while grabbing her upper arms. Sylvanas Windrunner, noticing her sister's mutual hatred for Garrosh, anonymously summoned her to Windrunner Spire to plot the assassination of the tyrannical former Warchief. Concocting a new, untraceable poison with her Forsaken subjects, she and Verisa planned to lace Hellscream's last meal with it. In the meantime, Verisa entertained the idea of joining her sister in leadership of the Forsaken, despite the fact that it would require her to abandon her children. Sylvanas realized that the Forsaken would not accept a living creature into their leadership and decided she would murder Verisa so that her little moon could be reborn at her side as an undead. At the last moment, Verisa relented and informed Anduin Wrynn of the poison in Hellscream's food. Despite Garrosh's hateful words and remorseless attitude, the prince saved the imprisoned orc's life. After learning of the plan's failure, the Banshee Queen rampaged through the wilderness, angrily killing any wildlife unfortunate enough to get in her way, and proclaiming that she would never attempt to love again. In Warlords of Draenor. When the Dark Lady asked for volunteers to make the trek into Draenor, Dark Ranger Velonara answered without hesitation. Any opportunity to please the Dark Lady was worth the risk. Sylvanas also sent the mage Vivian to assist the commander of Draenor to retrieve samples of the infested for study. Benjamin Gibb also performed reconnaissance for the Dark Lady in Admiral Taylor's garrison. Sylvanas and Legion. During the Battle of the Broken Shore, Sylvanas and her Dark Rangers joined the other Horde forces in allying with the Alliance to fight off the invasion of the Burning Legion. She and the Horde protected the flank while the Alliance confronted Gul'dan. During the ensuing battle, Warchief Vol'jin was mortally wounded. He asked Sylvanas not to allow the Horde to perish there, and she made the tough decision to abandon the Alliance forces, calling for a retreat. Thank you for watching, and as always remember, play to game and game to play.